For April the 10th, 2020, we talk about Resident Evil 3, Overcooked 2, and The Last of Us 2's delay. Welcome to Level 324. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Maismith.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. I am hoping and I am praying that the program that we use to record everybody's individual tracks does not poop out like it did last week. Boy, that was an editing session.
Craig got sassy.
Yeah, no. So I just there's an add-on you can use for Discord that will basically do exactly what we needed to do for this show. But it started throwing an error, and I had to do an awful lot of patchwork last time. This is a week after David, your track that was recorded. Just like randomly, your voice would dip down, and then it would come back up. So I had to.
That was just David talking. That's how he talks now.
Yeah. Everything
don't try and censor him.
Everything is. No, I don't want to make you feel bad about whatever kind of puberty shit you got going on.
You're never too old to have a second puberty.
Usually it cracks up instead of down, but David just has to be different.
Yeah. It was really funny, but also, people would have been a thing. So I fixed it. But yeah, that's so. Here's hoping it rolls out. And guess what, guys? We started an episode, the first in 2 months, without talking about the fucking virus.
Until now.
As long as it's not the first thing, I feel better.
I thought you were going to zag, so I want to bring up what I thought you were going to say.
Okay.
Which is we started an episode the first time in 2 months without having to tweak volume controls for 5 minutes.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I didn't jinx it, but like we jumped right in. There's so much extra time for activities.
I know, man. We're getting started at 8:44 after just talking to each other and catching up. Not getting started at 8:54 after going. No, hey, David, can you go a little higher? No, can you cut it by 5% for me?
3.2% now, please.
Yeah, we're growing pains. But the nice part is my office is no longer an oven because of all of the sound gear that's plugged in.
Yes,
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many spiders I found in the wires when I took it all apart.
Wait, real quick, have you played Half-Life Alyx yet?
No.
Damn it! All right, I'm not trying to shame you. I just. I need to, here's the deal. I need to know whether I should buy the system that you have to play Half-Life Alyx or not, or what I need to do. So eventually, I don't know. Eventually I need to take ownership and actually buy this game somehow.
I can just imagine Ben scratching his neck like a crack addict while talking about this.
There's more Half-Life out there that you haven't played.
I've avoided so much information about this game. I don't know anything about it yet. I want to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. Actually, I know like a couple of Reddit posts about it maybe. But
you can draw dicks on windows.
Yes, I know that much.
You can dance with head crabs.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
What sort of dances can you do here?
I just saw a video of somebody picking one up and moving around like they were dancing.
Oh
no, not been playing Half-Life Alyx.
Okay.
I've been playing the game. Here's a pro tip for everybody. Because they came out and said, all right, you can make a face mask out of bandanas. And I thought, let me go to the crate of bandanas that I have in my house that everybody has.
Of course.
So I went on a search looking for bandanas. Here's where you buy bandanas. If you go to a big box store, like a Walmart or a Meijer or things of that nature, they are by the women's purses, and I don't know why.
You realize, all of these conversations, how much I have to censor myself to not sound like a crazy prepper? It's wait, you don't have bandanas for purposes of protecting from, inhaled things?
No.
I have options.
You don't have separate bins for Molotov cocktail bandanas and face bandanas?
Let's put it this way. I am anti-fascist, but I have never participated in anything related to Antifa. So I do not have bandanas to cover my face.
So you must also be anti-fashionist because you don't know that you tie a bandana around the handle of your purse and it's the perfect little accent.
Okay, cool.
Well, see, I feel like the issue with the Antifa thing is they generally do black, but with light pollution being what it is, blacks actually tends to be a poor choice for stealthiness. Gray is a much better go-to.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Interesting.
No. So now I have several bandanas that I purchased. They came pre-tied in a jaunty, I assume, head wrap. I don't know.
Purse wrap.
Purse wrap.
My pro tip would be go to a dog store because I bet they have a bunch of bandanas there.
Yep.
Oh,
Unfettered.
Yes. Yeah.
So a couple of things. One, I actually got material to ramp up like mass production of face masks. Got some like fabric and wire and stuff like that. So if anyone needs, I can definitely mail you a face mask.
Yeah, I got a little bit of cloth and I got some sewing stuff. It's been forever since I've sewed anything, so we will see how this turns out. I might just end up making some simple ones with hair ties as the elastics and stuff, but
right.
Yeah, it's just weird what you end up having to make at home.
Yeah,
making my own bread, making my own face masks. Come on.
Yeah,
together.
Well, one then the other. You can't make a face mask if you don't have any energy.
You can bake it in some bread. It's like
I demand to see a loaf of bread with a face mask on it now.
So a good go-to for bread, if you want to be lazy, is the only two required ingredients in bread are flour and water.
Oh, you can make you can make like a matzah.
Yeah, basically. If you do flour and as little water as you can get away with to make dough, then cook it at, I think it's 350 for about 4 hours. And then potentially 350 for 4 more hours. You'll get bread that'll last the next couple decades.
That's a hardtack, isn't it?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's really all that's going on here. Other than losing my fucking mind at the news, but that's just me. I was doing that before this.
That's the American way.
Yeah. How are things over there in Manhattan, David?
About as you'd expect.
How many times have you gone out in the past week?
Not many. I went today to get the last materials I needed for the face masks and some groceries. I think I went 1 or 2 other times last week for like groceries.
No.
But basically, nothing that isn't just straight up like essential.
Yeah.
Which is kind of stressful.
And also legal right now.
Yes.
How have you been keeping yourself busy? Have you been managing okay?
Yeah, I've been doing fairly well. Lot of just solo martial arts stuff. I actually ordered in a steel mace, so it's like a 10-pound weight on a handle for like leverage for exercise.
Okay.
So that's been fun. Actually, I started at kind of your suggestion. I started reading Uzumaki, so that's been interesting.
Yeah. How far are you?
Let's see. I think I just read, the girl's hair got possessed.
Oh yeah, that one's fun.
And then someone turned into a snail.
Oh, the snail chapter is so good.
Snail chapter's just weird.
The snail chapter is creepy. I guess they're school pets now.
Yep.
Uzumaki's good, you guys.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it overall. The one thing I'd say I don't like is just there's not a lot of plot to it.
Yeah, so it's like Monster of the Week for the first half of it, and then the back half gets more plot to it.
See, that's why I was wondering. Yeah. And I'm not sure yet, like, is it something like, should I be looking for plot, or is it very much just like right now it's just weird shit be happening?
You'll know when it comes.
It's the Supernatural season 1 arc.
You mean the only season of Supernatural?
I have no position on this.
I do enjoy though the fact that I like the fact that they kind of take a really loose interpretation of Spiral, in that like anything that a spiral can be or can symbolize is, fair game for having weird shit happen.
They exhaust the concept.
Yeah.
The Miyazaki it.
What's that?
Or shit. I'm saying the wrong person. The Metal Gear, Death Stranding.
Oh, okay, yeah, Kojima is. Yes.
Kojima, damn it.
Yeah, that's all right. No.
Yeah. As a side note, something just kind of interesting to read sometime is look up Junji Ito's commentary on the hair possession episode.
Yeah.
Because that's apparently born out of hair really does creep him the heck out.
Yeah. I knew that fact, but I didn't know it was specifically. It pops up in a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, does it? Yeah. He there's like an article where he discusses it, and it very quickly gets to the like, that's weird. It's also weird that I'm not sure you realize that's weird.
Yeah. Hey, he's just a weird dude.
Yeah.
Makes good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Ben, how are you?
I'm doing okay. So I mentioned this in the pre-roll. I think I've gone outside once in the past week. I went to the grocery store Saturday. I think I'll probably go again sometime during the week and then sometimes on the weekend. So I'm like at the 1 to 2 times a week ratio. And then, this was the first week where I did a lot of socializing with friends, like via Discord, or I don't have any friends who have Zoom yet, so we haven't done that yet, but equivalents of those.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'll talk about this in the what I've been playing, but I did a Magic tournament over the weekend, and that was a lot of fun.
Fun.
I did it with some friends in Austin, and there's a website where you can like draft the cards, and then we did it on Discord, so we were all talking to one another there, and we like set up separate voice channels for the matches we were playing, and you go there and stuff. It was a lot of fun. We did, and I happened to win, so that made it even more enjoyable for me. So
nice.
But it was a good time. So I'm going to try and make that like a weekly thing, because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Were you doing that like in like Magic the Gathering online, like one of those?
Yeah, so after you drafted the deck, you made it in Arena, so you're kind of you're limited by the limited set. You can only do cards that are in like standard, so it's like pretty much cards from like the last year or two. So but
is that in engine or like in game supported tournaments, or is that something that you kind of have to organize outside?
We organize it ourselves. So there's like 3 different sites. One to do the draft, so you get it, but it makes it really seamless. You can copy it to a clipboard and import it to Arena, so you don't have to do any like manual building or anything like that. And then there's a third thing we use to do the tournament. So like you input all the names of the people, and you input like the wins, and then it'll generate like who faces who each round. And nice. It does like buys and stuff like that. So
I don't know if Hearthstone has changed since I played it, but I was always gobsmacked that all these games don't have more tournament level support.
Yeah, like built-in tournament stuff.
Well, with Magic, it's all third party.
With Magic, it's always how can we make money off of this thing? And this is like the rare loophole where you can do this without having to pay money. You just need to be able to redeem all the cards that you draft.
Yeah,
which is if you play Arena enough, then you probably already have them. So. So it feels great to be able to draft for free, because that's seldom the case.
So if you have like a crazy out there draft where you just get some cards that you never see, are you kind of screwed and you have to like either fork over for them?
I think for the most part, everyone, even people who hadn't played Arena before, we had them join right now and like grind for like a day or two, and they were able to get enough wild cards to cover themselves for the draft. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like fun. It also sounds complicated. It's good that everybody was on the same page about doing that.
Yeah, it was easier to do than to explain how I did it. So,
Oh, how about you, Dennis? What's up?
Not much. Warm weather has engendered outdoor shenanigans for the Furia family. So lots of fun. I've recently just, because you're with your kids all the time, started bargaining around nap time with them because they hate napping. And I'm like, all right, you guys have to play outside during nap time, but as long as you're playing outside and you're not bothering us, I won't force you to kind of sit in your bed. No one actually naps anymore. And that's gone well, except today I went outside to check on them, and they had gotten their crayons, climbed up on the pillars of our front porch, and drawn Technicolor rainbow on the front of our house. And since this is quarantine, everyone is naturally out walking around. And just got a wonderful, I don't know how long it was up there, wonderful setup of our house in Technicolor.
That's great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
I don't know how I could impart this knowledge on your kids, but I think back to being in their exact same situation and hating taking naps. Nap time always felt like a punishment, even if it was just the scheduled thing, even at school or whatever. And I just want to go back to myself and say, you're going to be so tired.
Yeah. This is all you are going to want to do.
Yeah. But, youth is wasted on the young. I've got no idea.
Naps are wasted on the hyper.
Yeah, I suppose.
I wonder if it would work teaching them meditation, something like that, something where you're actively doing napping.
Yeah, we've done some family yoga and family cardio videos. Now that we're doing all our working out at home, and I know there are family meditation things that we can check out. So it's on the list. I'll let you know how it goes.
Nice, cool. Well, that sounds like some banter to me. And I am ready to take us in and get us started with the regular kind of show. We got the grind, we got the multiplayer, and then we got the end boss. And why don't we get started with
the grind?
The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Do you mind if I go first?
Go for it.
Okay. I have one game that I am bringing today, but it is new. This is the Resident Evil 3 remake.
Yay!
All
awesome.
right.
Yeah. I got that on Friday, and I played it, and I beat it.
Oh my gosh.
So I like it. It's really good. It is not as good as Resident Evil 2. Additionally, everybody needs to know that this is a very, very short game. I beat it over the course of 6 hours, something like that.
And is that in line with the game that it is, remaking? Yeah.
Most of these games end up being, 6 or 8 hours, primarily because older RE games and, I guess all of them are kind of meant to be replayed, first to see everything and then for score. And this one also has a multiplayer mode, which I have not played, at least yet anyway. But it is very short.
Compared to Resident Evil 2, is there incentives to play it multiple times, to play as multiple characters or anything like that? Or is it the same game?
So there are multiple characters, but you switch back and forth between them over the course of the story.
Okay, so it's one run through with multiple characters.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, if you're a person who's really sensitive to dollar to hour, this is functionally, kind of an expansion pack for RE2. And if you walk in knowing that, or if you wait for a sale, I totally understand. Additionally, go ahead.
What do they charge?
It's 60. It's a full price game.
Oh wow!
That's
a rip off.
I mean, again, they have the multiplayer mode added on top of this as well. That is a whole bunch of content that I just haven't done.
Is that competitive multiplayer?
It looks really interesting. It's kind of like the Friday the 13th game. This was announced this was announced and revealed as Resident Evil Resistance. It's asymmetrical. It's 4 people who are playing as just people, and then one person is playing as kind of a mastermind who is sending monsters after them and controlling the monsters and stuff. Okay. So it looks really cool. But yeah, I don't I don't take issue if somebody says like, yeah, that's just not enough to justify it.
For some reason, the multiplayer was in my head as free.
No.
Like a standalone thing. Am I wrong on that?
Nope.
I mean, it's free with the purchase of the game.
Yeah, the multiplayer was announced ahead of time. It was announced first. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
but
and
you
then
can't get the multiplayer on its own. You have to get it as part of RE. Okay.
It is part of this.
Gotcha.
And it's really good. The actual game. I don't want to get hung up on the length because that seems to be all that people talk about. It's great. Especially early on, it justifies itself as something new, something that was worth kind of remaking because Nemesis is very, very different than Mr. X. Like Mr. X will chase you. Nemesis, like there are whole like set pieces where he has like rocket launchers and flamethrowers and stuff, and he can like zip around like like Spider-Man on his tentacle and things like that.
See, that seems like the opposite of what makes sense. In that, like, Mr. X is basically a human, so presumably would have guns and stuff.
Yeah, no, just Nemesis. He's kind of being remote controlled, and it's kind of not just a tyrant. He's got this super intelligent parasite inside it. Don't try to make sense of Resident Evil lore, but like everything is like way more action based than RE2. Which makes sense because you're playing as Jill from the first game. She's faced a lot of this stuff. You're playing as Carlos, who is like an Umbrella Special Forces guy who is a mercenary with a lot of experience. So you're fighting a lot more enemies. You have a lot more ammo, a lot more guns. There's less exploring and kind of like unraveling a puzzle box space like you had in RE2, which is a bit of a bummer. But this is kind of showing that they can take those bones and then work them into a really good action game. Additionally, you have a dodge mechanic in this, which is actually really similar. They had, the original Resident Evil 3 added a dodge feature that was necessary for fighting Nemesis, and it's here. And like you can really mitigate a lot of damage and like survive much crazier stuff than Leon or Claire could in RE2. So it's fun. It's really, really good in your hands. It's less of a faithful remake than RE2 was. RE2 kind of hit a lot of the same places and the same sequences. There was, sections in the middle where you were playing as Ada and Sherry that were expanded, and they added, different kinds of stuff that you were doing there. This, you still hit some of the broad strokes of it, but there are new things that they have added that are actually really cool sequences that I don't want to spoil, again, because the game just came out and also it's very short. But there are things that they have added, and there are, unfortunately, some things from the original game that I was really excited for them to adapt. I was just curious to see what they were going to do. And those things are gone. They're, either...
now
yeah. But, it just, they skipped over it. Or this is a boss arena as opposed to being a full-on area that you explore, etc. So, yeah, like there are changes and stuff. It moves very, very quickly, which is both to its credit and then also, again, to the shortness problem. You do kind of end up, if RE3, you'd be like, oh shit, I'm already here. Wow. Like this is a game that took like 2 sessions to beat, but like none of it felt extraneous. Like none of it felt bad. Everything that was here was good. And like that kind of modesty and that kind of like, we don't take very many shots, but we hit all of them or most of them that we take is laudable, I think.
Although I'm surprised, I tend to think of length and exhaustion as being kind of core parts of the survival horror setting or kind of genre. As a tool.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely something that they can. It's something that they can do. Especially like RE4 really hits that. It is a long game. It is meant, not so much to be scary, but to be stressful.
Right.
This is just doing different stuff. I mean, this is the comparison that always gets made, and I'm sorry to roll it out again, but it's appropriate. But this is Aliens to RE2's Alien, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah.
So in that thing, Resident Evil 6 would be Prometheus, and that like let's just ignore all rational thought and logic.
RE6 would be Alien versus Predator 2.
The highest of praise.
Yeah, exactly. Praise. I support this.
Also, I like RE6. So
Whoever wins, we uppercut.
Oh man, yeah. But I had a really good time with it, and I'd be lying if I said that I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't really in the mood for it. It was like just nostalgic enough to make me feel back at home. It was slight enough that I could like get through it, which is nice. You get a good sense of accomplishment. I'm going to play it again. Like I want to stream it. We're going to be doing it for WoF here soon. All this stuff. It's going to be fun to go back to. It's I want to mess around with the multiplayer, but I feel like I screwed myself in that regard because it is I got it on the PC.
Okay.
So I don't, and most people that I know, they got it on PS4. So,
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
So your crowd is on a different system.
It's possible. Yeah. So,
Oh,
but
that's frustrating.
yeah, but that's really all that I've been playing. Do you guys have any questions about RE3?
I've seen a bit of it on Twitch, and it looks like it's the same engine or whatever as RE2, like the same sort of maps and types of things. So if it's more RE2, then that seems great. Yeah, definitely. I hadn't heard about the 6 hours before, so that's like a little bit of a bummer of news, but that just means I'll probably just wait for it to come down in price.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say even like just as a $30 game, this is still good.
Yeah.
Just if you just view it like an expansion pack, then it's probably right on the money. But yeah,
Very cool.
So RE3, that's me. Who has something that they want to bring?
I've got nothing new, but I can talk. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So, like I said, nothing new. However, we have beaten Overcooked 2.
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
So this, we actually blew through it pretty quickly, and I think we beat it faster than we beat the first game. And I'll talk a little bit about why I think that is. But first off, I just want to appreciate this game for the magnificent pun that it is based around.
Okay.
You are fighting an army of food-based zombies, the unbred.
Oh God. So how do you beat them? Are you like in a cooking contest with them?
You have to feed them, which whatever, that's fine.
Okay, yeah. So they don't eat people?
That is left ambiguous. It's a bunch of like zombie pieces of toast, essentially, like literal slices of bread with like hunks, out and moldy.
I mean, that yeast has to eat something.
Yeah. But it's very clear they are a threat to the world. So I think the canon is they eat people.
Okay.
But you have to serve up enough food for them in the final boss battle. That is one piece where I liked the first game's final boss battle much better than the second game's. The first game was this like multi-stage, 10-minute affair, I think it was.
Okay.
Of trying to keep up with this one giant monster. The second game, you're kind of in a graveyard, if you will, surrounded by these pieces of toast, and you just have to run out a bunch of food to them. And the layout does change, and there's a little gimmick where there's a gate at the place where you send the food that you have to press a button that appears randomly in the level to get the food out. And so it's like anytime you have a dish that's ready to send, it's like, okay, I'm ready to go. Wait, you get the button. I'll take the dish, and there's an extra layer of coordination. And that works. It just wasn't nearly as hard. I think the first game was like, no joking, a week of just working on it and trying to get all the rhythms down and grinding away to finally get good enough to beat it. The second game, it took us 2 tries. But So we got through it much faster. However, when we finished, normally the levels are scored on 1 to 3 stars.
Okay.
We finished that final boss. We're like, yay, we beat it. And ping, a 4th star has been unlocked for every single level.
Oh, they pulled that one on you.
Yeah. And so now I think there's an extra layer. We went back and looked at the first couple of levels, like the beginning ones. And it is ridiculously high. Like it feels impossible right now. So there is a whole extra layer to this game that is just ridiculous. So lots to play. And I imagine that will take us back to the final boss fight that will feel much more akin to its first game's equivalent. But yeah, that's where we're at. Loved it. The other thing, I don't know if you guys remember, way back when we first got it, I said we went and played like a seasonal event first and realized, oh crap, this is very much designed for someone that is like end game level.
Yeah.
And it wiped the floor with us. So after we beat the game, we went back to that same event.
How was it?
And it only took us like, I think 3 tries to beat it. And so it was just this really good feeling of mastery of like, all right, we remember this from when we first bought the game. It was literally the first thing we did and it crushed us. And we go back to it and we feel like pros. That was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's Overcooked 2. There is lots of seasonal content to get through now. So I think there's like 4 different regions of seasonal events that are free. And then there's DLC on top of that we haven't bought yet. But man, there's a lot of game to play before we ever have to worry about that.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. And I think I remember mentioning, Ben, this was one of the presents that we got the boys, quote unquote. So they love watching us play. So thank you for that. Now that we're on the other side of
Wait a second. You spent their Christmas money to buy a game that you and Jen play?
Yeah. And that they watch and love watching.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
And whenever they're old enough, it will be real fun to have 4 people going on that at once, but they're not quite there yet. Yeah, so that's Overcooked 2. Then the other game that I've been playing, again, not new, is The Cycle. And they have a new release for this. So, they do, since the game is in active development, kind of release cycles. And this is release 12, just came out. And it's the best the game has ever felt. So I've been playing a lot. They made several tweaks that I really, really love. The first of which being that they made the PvE monsters significantly more difficult. So previous iterations of the game, once you learn what's going on with the non-player monsters on the map, it's really, not that difficult to deal with them. They're almost an afterthought. And so they tweaked up their difficulty to where you still shouldn't be dying to them unless you're being an idiot. Unless you make some seriously poor choices, but they take real thought and intention to maneuver around now. So I appreciate that. That's a lot of fun and just makes the moment to moment much better.
Yeah.
Second is they nerfed several meta weapons that were very popular and that I did not use myself, while at the same time buffing a weapon that I do use to that it's now probably a little bit broken. And the result is me just feeling all of a sudden like a complete god in this game. They buff the things I like and they nerf the things everyone else likes. That works well for me.
Yeah.
So suddenly,
just wait 2 weeks.
Yeah, wait 2 weeks. That's what everyone's saying. But I am really enjoying it while it lasts. The weapon that is like borderline broken right now is at the $200 tier. So there's like $200, $500, and $800 weapons. And basically it is. It has an equivalent. It's just an assault rifle, so it has an equivalent at the $500 tier that I, honest to God, don't really see the point of right now. Like, there's no point in investing $500 in this weapon when you can get the 200 and it feels just as good. So,
and which archetype is this?
This is the Core 47. It's an assault rifle.
Yeah. So that's the company that does like the heavy weapons, right?
Yeah, Korolev. Yeah, the Russian guy, which is amazing. So that's the second thing that's working really well for me. The final thing they added, and I initially hated it, is an alert that goes off when someone is aiming down sights at you. So it's a pre-engagement. Someone just puts their crosshairs on you, you get a little, well, excuse me, it's not little, you get a big yellow glow around your screen.
Okay.
The first couple times it happened, I hated it.
Does it indicate the direction that it's coming from?
It does
or is
not.
it just like, don't stand where you are now?
Yeah.
You're playing this game wrong.
Yeah. It just plays REM stand, but it's stand in the place where you aren't.
Yeah, they're just trying to enforce social distancing.
That's right. But it's just a giant oh shit icon. And I the community is pretty active in giving feedback to devs because it's early access. And I wrote a long thing about why I thought it was bad and unnecessary at the start. And I was just like, it adds a bunch of visual noise to your screen right before things are going to get intense. Yeah. And so that's like, that hinders you. And every time I had seen it initially, like I kind of knew someone was there anyway, so it didn't add any value, yada, yada. And then I played with it a bit longer. And even though conceptually everything that I said just then, it still kind of holds true, like it makes logical sense, I just realized there were way more really interesting duels around objectives happening. Because you have these things where it's not, you got ambushed and you have to run away and it's kind of this binary thing. Suddenly it's like, oh shit, get positioning. And then, do I leave this objective? Do I think I can, finish killing these monsters, then bug out? Or do I actually stop killing the monsters, take the fight and then finish? Or, and just that level of thinking and fun strategic play went through the roof with that edition. And I absolutely love what it has done to the game. Did a major mea culpa. And I think it's a great addition now. Nice. So those three things combined, the cycle is in the healthiest place it's ever been. And please, someone come play this game with me. Like, I absolutely love this game and want it to succeed so bad.
So did they change back? The reason I stopped playing was that they kind of changed it so that a PvE only approach became kind of a second-class citizen. Is that still the case?
No, it's gone through phases. So I think the last time I can remember playing with you, that was absolutely the case. It then swung the other direction where the best strategy, because the mineral contracts, which means something to David but not anyone else, contracts that were kind of PvE specific, were overbalanced and like way too profitable, and so everyone just hid from everyone else and farmed crystals, farmed minerals. Now it's swung back to where it feels like a really good middle ground. And there are games where I'll focus on PvP projects. There are games where I'll focus on PvE contracts, and both feel like viable paths to success, just based on where you drop and what's going on in the game at the time. So that's the fourth thing, is contracts feel better balanced than they've ever been.
So the thing I remember not liking is when the game first launched, it kind of had a problem that your relative position, first, second, third, etc., was completely irrelevant to the reward you got. It was entirely based on how many points you got, basically how many contracts. And then they changed it so that the contracts were completely irrelevant to the rewards you get. Have they found a middle ground? Because that was probably the biggest thing for me.
So here's the bad thing. Since I maxed out my faction levels, so now I've unlocked every weapon in the game, etc. I've completely stopped paying attention to the reward system, just because there's nothing meaningful for me to get from the rewards. Sure. So I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Cool.
Yeah. Easy enough to check. I'll let you know. And anyone, please come play this game with me. I will be a gracious tour guide for Fortuna 3. And we'll all have a great time.
You won't yell at them too much.
No, just enough.
I do have to ask, have you gone any farther in Shadow of War?
No, that's taken a back burner to Borderlands 3.
Which is taking a back burner to everything that you played this week?
Yeah. Well, I've played Borderlands 3. I just don't have anything meaningful to say about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Shadow of War is kind of the side piece right now, unfortunately. I still have every intention of going back to it because it's a really fun game, but nothing new to report at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's me.
Yeah. Overcooked 2 in the cycle. So between Ben and David, who has something new?
I do not have anything new.
Nor do I.
Okay, Ben, since you spoke, first I will go to you first.
Damn it, I knew I should have said anything. I don't. No, I've only played one game. I've continued playing Death Stranding. Continues to be weird. I got to the point where I have the option of using lethal weapons, but I'm not really encouraged to, because if I kill someone in the game, they become a BT, and that can cause a nuclear explosion type thing.
Oh.
So I don't really want to do. Yeah, like I don't want to do that. Right? That seems bad. So
see, I like to imagine just the weirdness of this game. What you literally mean is you can use the movie Lethal Weapon, you know, pop it in the DVD player and force your enemies to watch it.
I mean, the only one that'll kill somebody is Lethal Weapon 4.
Yeah.
They'll do it themselves. Yeah, so kind of what I've taken to is, I can't remember if I had this mechanic the last time I talked about the game or not, but there's one mechanic where they have auto pavers, where if you put enough materials into them, it'll build roads on the map for you that you can drive on. I think this is kind of like a little bit spoilery, but so the things that I've unlocked is you can unlock vehicles that you can travel in, and they have like a pretty huge storage capacity. And there's actually like an interesting kind of upgrade mechanic going on. There's a lot of like themes of like stars in the game, since it's like the US and everything. But it's like that with the upgrade system, where there's like 5 different things that you're rated on with each of your deliveries. One of them's like the amount, like the amount of packages you're actually delivering, like the load, you know. One of them's like time, and there's some other stuff. But like these things will kind of like upgrade independently of one another. So for example, like the amount that you carry or whatever, that'll upgrade independently. It's like, oh wow, you carried this like really big, these like 6 set of packages that are really hard to carry. Like, okay, so you're going to upgrade a whole bunch in that kind of behind the scenes, and now you'll have like a higher threshold after doing that a couple of times.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's basically been the main thing that I've been kind of like grinding towards is there's different like deliveries, like they call them like standard orders that you can do between like among all the points of people that you bring on to what they call like the chiral network. It's basically like internet is like what it is you're doing is you're basically going to all these different places, and you're giving them like internet that they can sign on to so that they get information. And then once you do that, you can get resources from them, and you can deliver things to them and that sort of thing. And then and you can deliver from their place to other people. So basically all this results into you just start making routes where you start delivering to one another. Each person you deliver to kind of has like a rating system. Like, so the more that you deliver to them, like the higher the rating goes, the more they like you. And the tangible effect it has on the game is it'll give you some sort of new technology each time you pass like a certain tier.
Okay.
It's like a 5-star system. And so like one of them, for example, might give you an upgraded like power harness, so you can carry more things. One of them might give you these are 2 examples very similar. There's more diversity than this. One of them gives you a speed harness where you can run really fast with packages if you get them. But they kind of like unlock meaningful ways to change the game. Some of them give you like lethal weapons, for example, that you can kill people with if you want. So that part's cool, that it gives you a bunch of different ways to play with the game. Maybe one of the downsides is there's whole like systems in the game that I haven't really interacted with, like the stealth mechanics. I just haven't interacted with at all, because I will just build a road that goes around the people who chase you and just drive around them. So it's not a big deal.
Do they still have the problem with people blocking off the entrances to buildings via trucks?
Any vehicle or anything that comes in from another player, you can take it apart with the press of a button. So that's never an issue. I don't know if that's like a patch update, and I've just never faced that issue. But yeah, you can tear down any structure that's imported in from another player.
Okay.
So yeah, and that's another thing is when you like basically turn an area online, when you like give it the internet or whatever, that's when the areas can start pulling in structures that other players have built. And you can like those structures, and then that gives them some sort of benefit. It's all weird. It's a really weird game, but it's fun though.
I mean, like what you're describing is way more simmy than I expected it to be. Like from a business sim kind of perspective, where you are gaining the more you do a kind of job, you are gaining the capability to perform more efficiently. You're making it sound like I don't know, House Flipper, Thief Simulator, or American Truck Simulator, stuff like that.
Yeah, and I will note that this playstyle is I stopped doing the main story in order to do this type of thing. So it's more of a completion-y angle of it. So the last mission that I got, they're oh, well, here's the route that you might need to go, where it's you need to build this one sort of thing to get up this mountain, then go through there. I'm nah, I already built a road that went around this, so I'm just going to take that, and it was fine, But yeah, I don't know. It's still an interesting game. It's still a really pretty game. The map is really expansive. You can drive from one end to the other in about 5 to 10 minutes or so, but it's it's just a really pretty world that they have. And it's really effective too. The mechanic of for my case, at least, I really like the mechanic of building roads, because it's these really hard to traverse areas that you had to run through and were constantly stumbling and stuff. You just drive through them now, and it's not a problem at all. So I thought that was really fun. At least that was a meaningful upgrade. I think after I build all the roads, because I don't think I have too many more to go, maybe half a dozen to a dozen, then I'll probably start interacting with maybe some of the other systems. But yeah. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I'm not sure how much more there is, how many more mechanics there are to unlock. I think I kind of have to force through the story mode to get those.
Yeah.
But I'm having a lot of fun with it. I played it for maybe 10 or 12 hours yesterday. So I played it for a good amount of time. So
yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
Yep.
I just I would like to play this game very much.
I was talking on mute. Sorry, Ben. I said it's very impressive that kind of derping around doing your own thing can be sustained by a game like this so long. That speaks well to it.
Yeah, it is a very good game for the quarantine situation, because it's it's not hard to pour a good amount of hours into it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. I don't know that I have any other questions about it.
I think one other thing I'll say too is they have these because I mentioned last time that I had the first boss battle that I ever faced, and that was and that happened. You throw grenades at it; it's a big dude. You got to fight it or whatever. They have these in other parts of the game, but the problem is they don't fence you off where you have to fight this thing. You can just run away from it, and then you're fine.
Is it still there?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, there's a concept in the game where when it rains, the water ages you, or ages anything really. Yeah. So if your truck's in the rain, your truck will start to get rusted and stuff. If a person,
to be fair, that's kind of how it works in real life.
it happens much more quickly in this game.
At speed. Yeah.
Yeah. And the idea is if a person is caught in the rain and they're not protected, they would age and turn into a senior citizen or die, if it's long enough.
Bone rain.
Yeah, and so in the places where it rains, there's also these things called BTs, which are the things you have to sneak around, and they're scary. But if you just straight run through them and they grab you or something, then they pull you and they take you to what is a boss battle. I haven't actually killed one of them, so I don't know if that ends it for that area or not. I just run away from it. It's I don't have to deal with this anymore. So
nice.
Weird game. Still pretty fun though.
I'm happy you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Nice. Was that all?
Yep.
Cool. Hey, David, how about you?
Sure. So I actually stumbled back into the Division 2.
Okay.
Nice. So they're about midway through their first season, which I think I've mentioned before, but basically the season is kind of a synthetic or an additional version of what was going on in the expansion, where you have to beat a series of missions on a certain difficulty level in order to unlock access to one of the Big Bad's lieutenants and take all of them out, so that you can then take on the Big Bad. And it's basically a new lieutenant gets released, I think every 2 weeks. And if you don't get one in that time, you can still go back and like do the old ones. It's not like you're out of luck type of thing. But yeah, so at this point they've released the first two. So I went and I have unlocked the first lieutenant. I've completed all the things necessary to get to that. But they're fairly difficult to take on solo, especially since I'm playing on, I'm trying to think, out of like 5-ish difficulties, I'm playing on the next to the most difficult. So, which the higher difficulty you're playing on, the better loot you're getting, which is why I'm playing on higher difficulty. But right now I'm trying to be at solo. If I'm not successful, eventually I'll probably just, group up with some people.
Mm-hmm. So this is where I realize I now have a computer that can actually run the Division 2.
Just saying. We could do a thing.
In terms of this versus World War Z, I think I might prefer the Division 2.
There you go. And you can get it cheap via whatever Game Pass.
Oh, I have it. I actually got a friend of mine went to CES and they were giving away codes for the Division 2.
Oh, nice.
There. This is obviously last year's. And so I've had it. I could run it kind of, but it was just crippling. Everything had to be on the lowest setting, and even then the game would choke and die pretty quickly if too many things got on the screen at once. So now I should be good.
Nice.
Anyway, we'll plan that later. Continue.
Definitely. So I also I've started doing more co-op, which is a lot of fun. You can run through content a lot quicker, and one of the kind of probably the biggest frustrating thing, and initially this is going to sound obvious, but then I'll explain it, is when you're playing solo, if you get killed, it's game over. You go back to the latest checkpoint, or depending on what you're doing, the bounties completely reset. And I realize that's kind of par for the course for the game, but in this game, it's very much part of it being a cover shooter, and part of it, I think, being like a cover shooter with RPG elements. It's very much you can get in a very bad situation and die where it's not exactly your fault. So things like if you take a status effect, so like get set on fire or something like that, there can be situations where you just straight up don't have enough reaction time to trigger your heal before it takes you out. Or similarly, there's certain enemies that, depending on what's going on, can be very difficult to deal with. So like enemies with riot shields that can basically charge you, and you have to hit them particularly in the legs and then like shoot them, but then that requires you to get out from behind cover. And if if there's enemies that aren't melee there, they'll just take you down almost instantly. So all this to say, being in a multiplayer situation where someone can either revive you or like heal you while this is happening, or just kind of split the load to take care of these things, makes the game work a lot better in a lot of ways. I actually had the first time I've played on the higher difficulty, which was kind of fun, which, makes the game a lot more intense, a lot more enemies, a lot more just random difficult enemies. It also makes it so that if at any point during the mission, your entire team wipes, you have to start completely over from the beginning, which a lot of people don't like. I probably wouldn't be a fan of. We never actually got to that point, so I haven't experienced that, but that's a thing. So that was just a lot of fun. Had a really good team, lots of different builds all going on at the same time. Probably my favorite and one of the more ridiculous things I've seen is they have set gear this time. So, you unlock special abilities if you're wearing multiple pieces of the same armor set. And one of them is kind of this, American patriotism type themed set. And it basically will tag enemies with like a red, white, and blue tag. And I think maybe there's something where it's like, if they're red, they take more, crit damage, or if they're blue, they take more headshot. I think maybe there's some mechanic to that, but I pretty much, since I wasn't the one really running that build, it pretty much just entered, equated to shoot these guys. And then when you kill them, they explode into 4th of July fireworks and like damage
Symbolism.
your enemies. Yeah, which it's completely dumb. It doesn't really fit with the theme of the game, but it's still a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. The other kind of interesting thing I have is each of the weapons has a perk, and so it'll be things like, when you're behind cover, your gun has better handling, so less recoil, things like that. Or, every time you kill an enemy at closer than, 7 meters, you then get a damage bonus, just things like that. But then there's named weapons, kind of like the exclusive drops that have what are called like perfect versions of those perks. They're basically more powerful. So one of the perks is called Lucky, and it's basically if you miss one of your shots, you have like a 50% chance that the bullet just returns to the magazine. The perfect version of Lucky, and this is only when you're in cover, the perfect version of Lucky upgrades it to a 100% chance, which creates this weird sort of pseudo auto aim where it's not that you can't miss, it's just that you can't miss and run out of ammo.
You can't stop firing until you haven't missed.
Right, exactly. And so that opens up a whole bunch of interesting like alternate ways to kind of approach using the weapon, in that one, you can just like very much take pot shots, just be firing as fast as you can. Similarly, that makes it a lot easier if, say, there's smoke or flames or something, you're not 100% sure where an enemy is, you just might as well fire at them anyways. Probably the weirdest is it has a blind fire mechanic that, in most games, blind fire, the difficulty is, you have almost no accuracy, but that now no longer matters. So, the game is still, the enemies are very aggressive about flanking you and about using, incendiary weapons and grenades to flush you out. So it's by no means like an automatic win, but you can very much just sit behind cover and just fire at people via blind fire. So yeah, so that, all that stuff's been a lot of fun. I've started playing a skill build, which has a lot of, they've really done a lot better of making a lot of the weapon, or a lot of the skills more interesting. One of them I've been playing with is basically a lot of the enemies have weak points, and they're not exactly like headshots in that they might do some extra damage, I'm not sure, but it's more they'll either, after you've damaged them enough, they'll either disable an enemy's special ability, or like if they're, say, like a grenader and you shoot them in the grenade pouch enough, you'll like set off their grenades, things like that. Similarly, lighting off the tank of a person with a flamethrower. And there's basically a drone you can get that you sort of like Red Dead Redemption style, tag a number of enemies, and then the drone flies out and basically automatically triggers all their weak points. And that's real interesting because it can be very hit or miss in that, like, flamethrower enemies are one of the most dangerous enemies in the game.
But if it misses, it doesn't matter. Sorry.
Well, yeah. Yes, also true. But also if it then makes like the regular grunts, ironically enough, the one character that your special ability just does literally nothing to. Another one that's kind of fun is basically a tear gas launcher, except that it's some sort of like corrosive that destroys armor and deals damage over time. And the interesting thing with that is it kind of becomes a mechanic of less overtly fighting a person and more like shooting where you think they're going to be type of a thing. So it's the main counter I've found to, for example, the Riot shield enemies I've seen, where you just kind of shoot at a line going from where they are to where you are because you know they're going to be charging through there. So it's a lot of fun. Still has some of the jank, some of that sort of thing, but overall, I'm having a good time.
Nice. Cool. Do you see yourself going back more?
Yeah, I think so. I'll probably try to at least engage with the event they have going. For me, they have kind of a big, unlock cosmetic items type thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, kind of my go-to on this game is I think it's most interesting and most kind of itself when the aesthetics it's going to is, sort of how would you accomplish, Tom Clancy-esque, like super, super tactical in a post-apocalyptic setting where you're like raiding Walmarts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, kind of super like Metal Gear Solid or, Call of Duty by way of like the hunting aisle. and that's kind of the theme of this current, I guess gear season. They call it like the urban jungle pack or something, but it's very much like my ideal aesthetic.
Nice. Cool. Well, The Division 2.
Yep.
That sounds like a segment to me.
Mm-hmm.
Buttons.
Not yet.
I'm not sure I'm doing this right.
I'm sure you're not.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Hey, Dennis, what's the question that you asked the nice people?
Yeah, so I was wondering, if you could only keep one game's progress, what your saves, your accomplishments, etc. for one game, and everything else you would have to start fresh, what would you choose? And I framed it as a virus wipes out your saves and progress, and then I realized after the fact, I was like, oh, that feels like a COVID-19 shade. But
that's what I thought you were doing. I thought you were just trying to make it relevant.
Purely after the fact.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a virus wipes out your saves and progress in every game except for one. What's the one game you choose to keep your progress in versus starting fresh?
Yeah. And I will get us started here with Jonathan, who writes, ouch. I only have 3 games right now that I really play consistently. Destiny 2, No Man's Sky, and I just recently started playing Astroneer. But it would probably be Destiny 2 because of the things that I've acquired recently that took a lot of grinding. Also, the other 2 are make your own fun kind of games. Yeah.
Fair enough.
It makes sense to me. Let's see. David, what does Corbin say?
Cohen says, probably my Subnautica save, as I already lost it once with a hard drive transfer.
I don't think we can bring it back for you by you answering the question that way.
I was going to say, this seems like an opportunity. You get to play Subnautica all over again. That's great.
Oh, man. David, Ben, how about Alexander?
Alexander says, reminds me of the time I saved over the novel I just wrote with the first chapter of its sequel. Always back up your data, people. That soul-shattering event taught me that attachment is bad and anything undone can be done again. Probably in a way more enjoyable than the first time. I don't have an answer, but would urge my fellow ducks to let go of attachment. This event would mean having to do a marathon of all your favorite games. Oh, darn. I will try and come up with an answer, but so far I'm in agreement with Alexander on this one.
Yes. Yeah, I could see that. Dennis, how about Ollie?
Ollie says, I do not have the Dark Soul trophy in Dark Souls 3. It is the only From Software game I don't have the equivalent for. I need to complete the set, so everything else can go. I must get good.
Yeah, I don't know if I did not read trophy data into this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I say it counts. I say the trophy data would get wiped as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Not necessarily wiping out the fact that you had done it at one point, but it was lost and you could never go back to it.
Yeah, your progress. I gotcha. Let's see. David, what does Martinez say?
Martinez says, my current room world save. For some reason, that game takes me 100 plus hours per playthrough, and I'm just not willing to lose 80 hours of progress in my current Royals run.
Man, I need to play Royals.
You're close.
It's been forever. Since I played RimWorld. Yeah, I can see that though. It takes so much work to get over the hump on that. Yeah. Ben, what does Dulce say?
Dulce says, I definitely saved my progress in Monster Hunter World. God, I have over 800 hours invested in that game. So many different gear and weapons already crafted. Thanks. Now you've implanted fear in me. I should upload everything to the cloud once I get home.
I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong about that.
Let's see. Dennis, what does Ben say?
Ben says Destiny 2 because of its dreaded RNG. I always start fresh for open world games if I've been away for over a month anyway, and restarting any game of a more reasonable length wouldn't bother me. Second
Destiny 2 vote.
Yeah. It's starting to feel like Destiny 2 is abusive that way. Come on.
Oh, any MMO. If you worked very hard to get a rare drop.
Yeah. How you feel about Destiny 2's systems it depends entirely on the genre of game you are comparing it to.
Yes. Casey writes, Metal Gear Solid 5. I've completed that game twice on the same save file, and it's probably the only game I enjoy going back to again, but would not want to grind up all the unlocks again. Mm-hmm. I've never done a new game plus in that game. How much? I wonder if you keep your staff over for your base, or if they're just unlocks that you keep. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like they do something to grease the wheels.
Yeah. And then finally here, David, what does Callum say?
Callum says, I would keep my Baldur's Gate 2 saves. Losing those characters would suck.
Especially if you brought them up through Baldur's Gate 1 and the expansion.
Oh yeah.
No, you work to make that peasant into a god. Yeah.
Dumb question.
Okay.
I don't have a good head for the timeline. Is Baldur's Gate 2, is that one that's a super retro game, or is it more modern?
Came out in 2000.
Okay, because I know there's been a recent one, right?
It was announced that the Divinity Original Sin team was going to be making Baldur's Gate 3, but it's unclear how related it is going to be story-wise to the first two.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yep. For me, I would probably say something like Satisfactory. I'm not really that attached to an awful lot of save games that are not like single player games in progress, you know? Like if I, had a Final Fantasy Tactics game that was 75% of the way done, I wouldn't want to get rid of that. But like if I lost my Tactics games, from a decade ago, I probably wouldn't care too much about it. But like Satisfactory, if I ever went back into that, like, yeah, you are taking down huge swaths of your factory to like optimize it every time. But like, it is a lot of work even just to get it set up to where things are modular enough that you can do that. Yeah, I don't know that I would want to. I'm probably gonna have to, because it's been forever since I played it. But like when they do a final release of that, I am absolutely probably going to have to start from zero, and it's gonna suck. Yeah. David, how about you?
I think for me, I'd probably have to go with Warframe. That's the game that more than any other, I've put a lot of time into, and I have gear that would be difficult to replicate. That's actually the main reason I haven't started playing on PlayStation 4, where it would be easier to do co-op with a number of the Duckfeed people. But yeah. So I mean, that would probably be it for me. A close second would probably be my Bloodborne save, just because that's the game that is my, like, I'm going to go back and officially beat it. Something. So I'm at in that, like, it's not soul level, but like soul level in like the mid 200s. So
whoa.
Like I'm like I'm very, very, very far along. Like I can beat it. I just haven't. Like, and part of that is my definition of beating it is like I was fairly close to having done all the like exclusive contents for the
Chalice dungeons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, nice.
No, like in the mid 200s, like you finish that game like on a regular run in like 120, something like that. Yeah, you are massively over leveled.
I'm gonna go in and look at the final boss, and it'll just drop dead.
Yeah, I think what ended up is there's a couple of enemies in the Chalice dungeon that can just like either one-shot you or are otherwise very, very difficult to fight from melee. And so I'm in process of upgrading my magic ability for the sole purpose of those fights. So it's something I've completely not touched the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So basically what it is I have a quality build that has like a magic build grafted onto it.
Yeah. That sounds like Bloodborne to me.
Yep.
Oh, Ben, how about you?
Yeah, so I think mine's going to be similar to David, at least the first half of David, where I would say either Rocket League or Deep Rock Galactic, and it's not really for any sort of like Rocket League. It doesn't really matter, right? You're playing the same game but it's like you lose a bunch of items. And it's like, I don't know. That's like a very small, like minor reason. Like I have some pretty dank decals, so I like to keep those around. Yeah. Similarly with Deep Rock Galactic, it does have a leveling system, so it'd be a little bit of a pain to have to go through again. Minor answers though. For the most part, I think I'd be happy to replay a bunch of my games that I have, like Knights of the Republic or Arkham or whatever. So yeah.
And how about you, Dennis?
Yeah, I'm impressed. No one else, maybe the Baldur's Gate answer a little bit, but no one else went nostalgic. Because I'll be honest, the first game that came to my mind when I thought of the question was my Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition save on PS2.
That's a good game. Like, why are you so particularly attached to that? To
the
that
amount
file?
of time, I put into customizing my cars, and like the three, I had an Escalade and a Lotus Elise, and I forget the third one, but just like obsessed over the perfect design and fell so in love with them. that just the deleting them, even though I could probably recreate a reasonable facsimile with some effort, was just painful to me. And I'll probably never open that save again in my life. But just the fact that I have it and I could go look at those cars if I wanted, felt very important.
Yeah.
But then I came to my senses. I think the actual answer I would give is No Man's Sky. And while it is very much a make your own fun game, it is a make your own fun game in which the systems reveal themselves very slowly.
Right.
And I've done that arc twice now.
I mean, even just going backwards in inventory and ship inventory slots would be really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
They need like a new game plus, not in the sense that you finish the game and then start over, but a new game plus in terms of I'm going to start a new game parallel to my old one and just have like all the BS ironed out. But I went through once when the game kind of came out, a second time when they did their big next update, and then a third time in VR. And I just don't think I have it in me to go through that inventory and systems ramp up again.
Yeah.
And so losing my progress in No Man's Sky would probably mean never playing No Man's Sky again.
Also, a fourth time when you played Subnautica.
I played the opening Subnautica twice. I think I have this thing where I bounce off these open world make your own fun games. Or maybe I'm just really bad at getting into systems or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's me.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody for participating. If you would like to throw in on the upcoming one, next week, if we have an episode, there's going to be free play. So think of your questions for us. But regardless, the prompts always go up on Monday afternoons. Thank you for posting it, Dennis.
That sounds ominous, by the way, if we have an episode next week.
You can't take anything for granted. We are living it day by day.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about the things that are going on in the world of video games that are exciting us for some form or fashion or reason. Dennis, what is going on with Riot's new shooter?
Yeah, so Valorant's beta starts tomorrow as of the time we are recording this, or rather their closed beta. It'll be several days ago by the time people actually listen to it. But what I thought was really interesting is the way that they are launching access to the closed beta. So when it goes live, they've already allowed several people to play in a closed event, not uncommon. And those people have streamed their play, and then we'll be streaming again live when the closed beta goes live tomorrow. The way you get beta keys is by watching those people play.
Okay.
Which is super interesting. Like, if you want in the game, you have to watch people play the game. And I wasn't clear if this has like a zombie tag style effect where, like, once you get the beta, if someone else watches you playing the beta, they can get it off of you. Yeah,
that would go exponentially.
Yeah, but it's
no one's actually going to buy the game. It's just these spreads.
It's a very Twitch centric way of deploying, in which, like, the thing of value, access to the game is literally being kind of carroted out there for watching on Twitch. So it's just fascinating for me is the way games are monetized and the way value is kind of gotten through games. Changes just that you could launch a game in this way.
Yeah.
Very, very clever. I'll be interested to see if it is, successful, or if it turns into a situation where people will watch for 6 hours, not realizing the codes have been given away, and then be super pissed. They can get in, yada yada. We'll see, but it's certainly an intriguing concept. The viewership numbers for the closed alpha were over 1 million, so I imagine it'll be at least that for the closed beta, and they're giving away 75,000 codes.
Yeah.
So this could be a bloodbath.
So people are excited for this game, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's the CS spiritual successor to CS:GO and Riot's first new IP in forever.
I mean, ever.
Yeah.
Riot has only been the League of Legends folks.
Correct. And even the card game that they did was in the League of Legends universe. So this is a new universe, which this is a place to mention. I'm excited for the game. I think it'll be fun to play. I hope I get into the beta. The art style for this game is terrible.
Ugh.
Like the level design feels very just generic, like you could mistake it for a CS:GO map.
Yeah, I was
the
going to say
design,
they're trying to keep the core CS:GO experience.
yeah, the character design is like a weird half step towards Overwatch that doesn't fully commit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the effects of the game, please God, they have to be placeholder. I think they've made choices in terms of like, we are going to be as completely efficient as possible in the name of competitive integrity, and anyone can play on any machine. And I guess I can respect that, but it looks real bad.
See, this
hopefully it plays real good, but it looks real bad.
This just seems like I don't know. This is everything I hate about gaming. Like this, I don't know.
You mean having a lot of talk about Peeker's advantage in your initial announcement for the game is not something that gets you going?
Yeah,
I just competitive game. I don't know.
But like I said, I'm excited for it. I think it'll be fun. The art style is not doing it for me. Hopefully the way they orchestrate this closed beta will. But we'll check back in on that next week if we have an episode.
Yeah. I didn't mean for that to be like, I didn't mean for anybody to read anything into that. It's just
every episode's a cliffhanger now.
I guess. I don't plan on going anywhere. Speaking of things,
most definitely we are less likely to go anywhere now than we were before.
Yeah. Because we can't go anywhere. Yeah. Speaking of things going anywhere, Rocksmith is no longer getting DLC. The team, Ubisoft San Francisco, put out an episode a couple of days ago, as at the time of recording, saying that there will be no more weekly DLC. And this is going to be them cutting it off. Since the release of the original game, they've been putting out weekly DLC for this game since 2012. It kind of slowed down a little bit here recently, and you can tell that they're kind of like petering out. Like it's just not been like any really good stuff, and they've been releasing like, lesson tracks and things like that. However, it's still a bit of a bummer because I still checked it every week to see if there was anything cool that I wanted to grab a hold of. But there's like 1,400 tracks that you can get a hold of now, and they frequently go on sale. Rocksmith is the rhythm game where you plug in like an actual guitar and it tracks your playing that way, and it steps you up through learning the songs.
This is where everyone in the world goes, "Oh shit, I own Rocksmith."
You probably do. As to whether or not you own the cord to plug Rocksmith in, that's probably less likely. But you maybe have gotten a hold of it. But yeah.
So here's the question: what is or is going to be the final DLC pack for Rocksmith?
So I don't know. I remember when Rock Band went away for the first time. The last track was "American Pie" by Don McLean. Which is, it's a big popular song. Like, hey, here we go. As of right now, the last pack to go out on March 31st was a three pack of songs by the, I don't even know what kind of band this is, by the, progressive rock band Opeth. I don't know. I don't know if Opeth is going to be the last one. Or if they've been
in the non-King James version, it's just Ope.
It's in the Midwestern version too. Yeah. So I don't know. Usually the new DLCs come out on Tuesdays, so I don't know if they have a last hurrah planned or if it's just like, yeah, that's everything we got.
But I hope if that's not the final one, that'd be terrible.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very good. But that team is going on to work on something new. It is unclear if it's going to be another rhythm game or something like that. The other thing that studio has worked on was the the sequel to the South Park RPG.
Oh,
it came out in 2017.
That was good.
Yeah,
The Fractured Butthole.
The Fractured Butthole.
Was it the first or the second?
The Stick of Truth was the first one. Yeah. Yep. So it's a bummer, but it probably had to happen sometime.
Yeah. Kudos to them. That is the most dedicated I've seen people be to DLC support.
Yeah. Ben, Oh man, this is this is tough. I mean, so let me peek ahead. Hey, David, do you have a story?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Ben, it's up to you. Which one of these do you want to? Yeah, which one do you want to do? So
I'm the dealer now.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I'll just talk about them both in brief, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Two. One's like a bad thing happening to a good person. One's a bad thing happening to a bad person. So it's like good and bad news. The first
corporations aren't people, Ben.
Right.
Boy, howdy! I wish that were the case. I wish that were legally the case. So the first one is in Boston. They shut down GameStop stores. You might be asking, why were GameStop stores open? That's because I don't think we covered this, but when they declared like all essential businesses, non-essential businesses needed to shut down, GameStop naturally came to the conclusion, oh, we're an essential business. So we'll just stay open during this thing. No problem. Yeah, they're basically broke, it sounds like. And so it sounds like this is kind of like the death rattle of what it's kind of like an act of desperation to stay open despite there being
the final nail in a coffin that had about 10,000 nails.
It was mostly nails at this point. Yeah. No.
It's like the ship is made of nails when it gets to the other side. Is it still the same ship?
The Nails of Theseus.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I mean, it sucks for people who are going to lose their jobs, but just GameStop corporate is just the fucking pits, and the emails and memos they put out about that are really bad. And I can understand why a state would come in and say, "Hey guys, you gotta stop it."
Yeah. So at least Boston took the right move and like officially made them close down their stores.
Yeah.
So good on Boston. Hopefully other places do this too, if it isn't actually a problem.
So right now, all other GameStops are on like a curbside kind of basis. So you place your order online and then you roll up and they pass the game in through the through your car window after you show proof of purchase, which is, I mean, like a lot of stores are doing that. Like I went and got Greta cat food at like a PetSmart, and they were doing it that way. I went to Best Buy to get a game, and they were doing it that way. Like that is to me acceptable, especially because
they asked you if you want to pre-order.
they didn't. I've not gone to a GameStop on curbside. I don't know. I think that they're just kind of hunkering down and riding on a skeleton crew. God, it would be so fucking boring to work there for that shift with nobody walking in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The other story I got, a bad thing happening to good people, is The Last of Us Part 2 was announced that they're going to delay it indefinitely, kind of, quote unquote, or they didn't give a determined like when it was delayed to. Basically, it sounds like their means of production was shut down because of the pandemic. So they don't have a way of making discs or whatever.
Or distributing them.
Yeah. So that's kind of in limbo right now. So that's kind of a bummer.
Has the game gone golden otherwise?
I think they were more or less done with work of it.
Yeah, it was
otherwise.
I mean,
I'm surprised that they didn't go the Frozen 2 / the Onward route of like, okay, well, this is just going to be an all digital release now.
Yeah, that seems like that would be the logical move, right?
I feel like maybe we're going to delay it until a game about the aftermath of a worldwide pandemic sounds like fun.
That's feeling.
I saw somebody on Facebook. Saw somebody on Facebook post this. I don't know if they pulled it from somewhere else, but it was like they said game about dystopian future delayed because of dystopian present or something like that. If that was their own thing, it was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, my guess, and this is just a conspiracy theory kind of thing, I think that it's probably a half truth. Like what they said, the actual verbiage in the announcement was, we don't have, given the circumstances, we don't have the ability to give our fans the launch experience they deserve. I think that maybe they needed to delay it anyway, specifically because they were under such public scrutiny because of very bad working conditions at Naughty Dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They like just Naughty Dog already was really infamous for crunch, and like there were some really public kind of blow-ups about it in the run-up to the release. So I don't know if they, if there was something that caused like a last-minute like polishing delay that like made them say, yeah, we probably need to delay this just a little bit more to get it out the door, given the current circumstances. And COVID probably offered them a nice off ramp for that. Like I said, I don't know that for sure. That's just me being a conspiracy theorist.
Fair. I almost wonder. It almost reads as a way to say, like, we need to make sure that we appease GameStop. The launch experience of being able to get the game in, person is essential because of our essential business partners that we probably have an agreement with. But if GameStop's going out of business, you guys don't have to read that act anymore. And
nope.
Let's just put this bad boy out.
Yeah, just pop it on there.
I'm curious about the alternate reality where this game released on time in February and then a month later, actual pandemic happened. It's like, ooh.
I mean, Capcom has been a champ about putting out RE3 in this environment.
Again, let's consider. I started playing Division 2 that I had something to do when the exact location of Division 2 actually got shut down.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez. And David, round us out. What's the story you got?
Yeah, so are you guys familiar at all with Conway's Game of Life?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically cellular automation. So it's a very simple game where you have a grid, and each square in the grid is either off or on. So usually they're like white or some other color, white or black. Mm-hmm. And each round, each square in the grid counts up how many of its neighbors are on. And if a certain number are on, it dies.
Mm-hmm.
If they're a different number, it lives. And a different number, it turns the cell next to it on.
No.
And that's enough to basically, create these very complex emergent patterns and stuff like that. And so it's kind of a simulation of how complex systems can rise out of
basically entropy.
Very simple rules. Yeah, exactly.
It should be noted that even though Conway's Game of Life is called a game, it is more like just an experiment that is run. Like a simulation would be more of the thing. There's no there's no like interaction model besides starting it and going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's technically referred to as a 0-player game.
Yep.
So you can, like, in most versions of it, you can basically start and stop at any time and like click to manually turn things off and on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's most relevant because there's a whole bunch of known like starting shapes that produce interesting results.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, in the category of starting shapes that produce interesting results, someone found and developed a configuration for Conway's Game of Life that runs Conway's Game of Life.
Yeah. Yeah, so I knew it was Turing complete, but I didn't know it was like for real Turing complete.
Yeah, so I guess we have links with the video so you can watch it, but it's a YouTube video that it's almost like a fractal type thing where, literally the patterns that the game is making are creating a larger game board that is the patterns of Conway's Game of Life. So,
wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's just, I don't know. It's,
does it repeat? Like if you continue zooming out, does it happen again?
Yes.
I'm not.
Well, I think it would if it's self-symmetrical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% certain.
I mean, so like the only like ceiling on that would be memory, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, like Conway's Game of Life, it was invented in 1970 before they ever thought we would have as much memory as this. So if this is like a dedicated machine that is just running this simulation and then capturing it, then yeah, I could probably get to the point. Huh.
That's nuts.
Wow. Yeah, this rules.
This is like a blue car syndrome, because I referenced this earlier this week when I was talking to somebody about software development, and like there's plenty of examples of like complexity arising from very simple situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like things people recognize as characters and stuff. Yeah, really good. Yeah, it's good. It's good news. I like ending on that story as opposed to something a bummer. Something's a bummer. Thank you.
There we go.
How do you guys feel about buttoning it up?
Let us button.
Now buttons?
Now buttons.
The credits.
Thank you so much for listening to this level number 324. We appreciate you taking the time. We hope you are being safe. We hope you are staying sane. Jala wanted us to remind everybody that this week, going into next week, is going to be just extremely rip-roaring in terms of not just the death count, like we're gonna peak here in a big bad way, actually, but transmissibility as well. So please exercise even more caution than you already were. Don't drive yourself crazy, but be sensible and be aware of the risks associated with exposing yourself to others, or yourself to others, let's say. What? Or others
Just
to yourself.
In general,
Yeah.
Don't expose yourself to others unless it's consensual.
Right. And even then, in the circumstances. No. But be aware
Don't
of that.
consent back.
Oh, geez. So just stay physically distanced. God. And also, if you go to a store, understand that there are probably maybe half of the people out there are not going to distance from you, so you'll have to maintain your distance from them. Yeah, it was real funny. Just me going down a like an aisleway, and somebody bowling right up. Oh God, they're walking right toward me, and me just diving out of the way.
Just start climbing. As
you might imagine, one of the new popular, I guess you'd say a meme in the sort of martial arts subculture of the forums and stuff is sharing proactive social distancing strategies.
Man, I thought about taking a tape measure with me. Just being that asshole.
I remember in the very early stages of all this, there was a picture going around of a person who had literally cut a 6-foot cone out of drywall and put it around themselves, or not a cone, but a disc.
Yeah, he was walking around like the planet Saturn. Yeah. It was really good. But yes, please be careful, not just for yourself, but for anybody around you who may be more vulnerable to it. As for us, the things you can do, ratings and reviews, telling your friends, going and listening to other shows on the network is fun. And coming back next week, also fun. If we're back next week. No, I have no reason.
We'll see you next week.
No reason for us not to be back. Cool. Did I forget anything?
We'll be like Three Dog. We will always be broadcasting.
Oh, man. Cool. So I've been Kole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Twitch at Deck of Wonders.
I might be David Moneysmith next week. Maybe.
And I've been Ben Merkel at Merkleby on Twitch.
And stick around for some titles.
Nope. I was a bad boy. I didn't write anything down.
Oh, that's fine. Ben, you got nothing?
Strike two.
I wrote one down and forgot one that I'm hoping someone else, by which I apparently mean Kole.
Okay.
The one I did get is whoever wins, we uppercut.
Okay, so I also had that one written down. And I was bad. I wrote down two of mine. I'm real sorry. One of them, the idea was thought up by Dennis, but I thought up the name for it. So the Nails of Theseus.
I like that one.
That was the one, yeah.
Yeah. And then also I wrote down Stand in the Place Where You Aren't. But
that's also actually pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
How do you feel about the Nails of Theseus? It's a level last title, but
I'm on board with it.
Pretty happy with that.
Okie doke. Cool. Well, I'm going to go. I've got